It was just another busy afternoon at the restaurant in a busy part of the city. The lunch crowd had filled most of the tables, the clinking of plates and low conversations making a steady background noise. The air smelled of spices and grilled food. The restaurant was a popular spot, clean, well-lit, and known for its quick service. Most people loved stopping by during their lunch break for a fast, tasty meal. A man stepped through the front door. He wasn't in a rush, but there was something calm and confident about the way he walked. He looked around the room for a moment. His clothes were neat and simple, nothing flashy, but you could tell he carried himself with quiet dignity. There was no hesitation in his steps as he made his way toward the counter where customers placed their orders. The line was moving slowly, but the man didn't mind. He seemed patient, waiting his turn like everyone else. Some people glanced at him briefly, some smiled politely, but most were too focused on their own meals and conversations to pay much attention. It was just a regular day and he just wanted his lunch. The manager, a woman standing behind the counter, was busy making sure everything ran smoothly. She had a sharp look on her face, her eyes flicking from one thing to another. She noticed the man right away but barely said a word. When it was finally his turn to order, she took his request without much enthusiasm. The man ordered a simple meal, a sandwich, a side, and a drink. Nothing special or expensive. He paid with cash, handing over bills to the manager. She counted the money quickly, then reached for the change. But instead of handing the coins carefully into his hand, she dropped them on the counter with a sharp clatter. Some of the coins spilled onto the floor. People nearby looked over, surprised by the sudden noise. The man looked down, reached out calmly, and picked up the coins one by one. He didn't say anything. His face stayed calm and polite. He said a quiet thank you and took his food, then walked out the door without a complaint or a word of anger. Inside the restaurant, the staff noticed what happened. Some exchanged uncomfortable glances. One of the servers, a younger woman, asked the manager softly, "Why did you drop his change like that? That wasn't very nice." The manager shrugged and said something that didn't sound very kind. "Some people just don't act like they belong here." She didn't explain more and went back to her work, clearly not wanting to talk about it. The young server felt uneasy. She didn't say anything more, but her eyes showed she didn't agree with the manager. The moment left a quiet tension in the air. Meanwhile, outside the restaurant, the man walked calmly down the street. He held his bag with the food and looked thoughtful but didn't rush. He had come to this restaurant many times before, but something about this visit was different. He hadn't expected to be treated like that, and it didn't sit right with him. Though no one had seen it, this man had a connection to the restaurant that no one there knew. He wasn't just any customer. In fact, he had recently become the new owner of the place. He had spent a long time working behind the scenes, quietly buying the restaurant. Today was the first time he had come in not as an owner, but as a customer, to see the place from the other side. He wanted to understand how the staff treated regular people, especially those who might not look like they belonged. And now he had his answer. As he walked away, he was already thinking about what changes he would need to make. This moment, small as it was, showed him there was work to be done. He wanted the restaurant to be a place where everyone felt welcome and respected, no matter who they were or how they looked. Back inside, the manager went on with her day, not knowing who the man really was. She didn't realize that her small act of disrespect would soon lead to big changes, not just for her but for the whole restaurant. This visit marked the beginning of a new chapter. The man who had been treated like trash would soon become the one leading the way to a better, fairer future for the place and for the people who worked and ate there. The man who had just left the restaurant was calm, but inside he felt a quiet disappointment. He hadn't expected to be treated with such coldness, especially in a place he cared about. He knew that behind the counter, the manager had dropped his change carelessly, almost like it was something dirty or unwanted. The sound of coins hitting the counter and floor echoed in his mind as he walked away. It wasn't just about the money, it was about respect. Something he had seen many times before but never accepted. He thought about the people in the restaurant, the customers eating their lunches, the servers moving quickly from table to table, and the manager overseeing everything with a strict, almost harsh attitude. He wondered how many others had been treated the same way without anyone noticing. The man's mind drifted to his own life and the journey that had brought him here. He hadn't come from a wealthy family or had a smooth path. There were struggles, setbacks, and moments when he was unsure if he would ever reach his goals. But through hard work, patience, and determination, he had found his way. Becoming the new owner of this restaurant was a proud moment. It was more than just a business deal. It was a chance to make a difference. He wanted this place to be a space where everyone was treated fairly, where kindness and respect were the rules, not the exception. As he walked down the street, he remembered the woman behind the counter, the manager. He thought about her eyes, the way she avoided looking at him directly and the sharp way she handled the money. There was something deeper there, a fear or maybe a misunderstanding. He knew that sometimes people act out of ignorance, not true cruelty, but that didn't make it right. The man's day continued, but his thoughts stayed with the restaurant. He knew he needed to do something, not just for himself, but for the community. This was his chance to change things from the inside. Back inside the restaurant, the atmosphere was busy but tense. The manager returned to her duties, but there was a slight stiffness in her movements. She had noticed the man's calm reaction but hadn't understood it. To her, he was just another customer she didn't like. A young server, who had seen the way the manager treated the man, watched quietly from the side. She had always believed that everyone deserved respect, no matter who they were. She admired the man's patience and grace in the face of rudeness. Later, when the rush died down, the young server approached the manager quietly. "Why did you treat him that way?" she asked gently. "He didn't do anything wrong." The manager looked at her with a tired expression. "I don't know," she replied. "Sometimes people just don't seem like they fit here. It's hard to explain." The server nodded, but her heart felt heavy. She didn't agree with the manager's words. She believed in fairness and kindness. She knew that if she were the owner, things would be different. As the day went on, the man thought more about what the restaurant needed. He made notes on his phone, ideas for changes, ways to support the staff, ways to welcome every customer with warmth. He thought about training sessions, new policies, and creating a team that cared about each other. He also knew he had to speak with the manager, not to punish her, but to help her understand the importance of respect and equality. He wanted her to see that everyone deserved to be treated with dignity. That evening, after the restaurant closed, the man returned quietly to the building. He wanted to see the place in a different light, not as a customer, but as an owner ready to listen and learn. He walked through the empty dining room, feeling the silence and imagining the changes he would make. He found the manager in her office, finishing paperwork. He knocked softly on the door. She looked up, surprised to see him back so soon. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice guarded. The man smiled gently. "I want to talk about today," he said. "About what happened at the counter." The manager shifted uncomfortably but nodded. She knew this conversation was important. He spoke calmly but clearly. "I came here yesterday as a customer. I wanted to see the restaurant through your eyes, to understand the experience. But I felt something was wrong. When you dropped my change like that, it felt disrespectful." The manager looked away for a moment. "I didn't mean to be disrespectful," she said quietly. "I was stressed. The lunch rush was busy and maybe I didn't think." He nodded. "I understand stress, but how we treat people matters. Every person who walks through that door deserves kindness." She sighed. "I guess I didn't realize how it looked." "I'm sorry," he smiled again. "Thank you. I want to work together to make this restaurant better. For the staff and the customers." The manager's eyes softened. For the first time, she seemed to see the man not just as a customer, but as a leader who cared. The man left that night feeling hopeful. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but it was necessary. Small moments, like dropping change on a counter, could reveal bigger problems. And big problems could be fixed with honesty, respect, and a willingness to change. Over the next few days, the man began visiting the restaurant regularly. Sometimes he watched quietly from a corner. Other times he spoke with staff members, asking how they felt and what could be better. He saw things he liked, the hard work of the servers, the friendly kitchen staff, but also the tension in the air. There were moments when he caught the manager watching him with a mix of curiosity and uncertainty. One afternoon, the young server who had spoken up before smiled at him as he entered. She whispered, "Thank you for caring." That small moment made the man realize he wasn't alone. Change would come from many voices working together. He started planning new meetings and training sessions. He wanted to bring everyone together to talk openly about respect and teamwork. He believed that when people felt valued, they gave their best work, and customers noticed the difference. As the days passed, the man's visits became more frequent and purposeful. He talked to the kitchen staff about their challenges, listened to the servers' ideas, and encouraged the manager to be more open with her team. At first, the manager resisted. Old habits die hard, and she was used to running things her way. But slowly, she began to see the value in his approach. She noticed how the staff responded to kindness and encouragement. One afternoon, after a busy lunch shift, the manager approached the man. "I want to thank you," she said quietly. "I'm learning. It's not easy, but I want to do better." The man smiled warmly. "That means a lot. We're all learning." Together, they started making small changes. The manager began greeting customers with a smile. She encouraged the staff to share their thoughts and ideas. The atmosphere in the restaurant started to feel lighter, more welcoming. Customers noticed the change too. Regulars came back more often and new faces appeared. The restaurant began to feel like a community, a place where people could enjoy good food and friendly service. Man's dream was slowly becoming reality, a restaurant where everyone felt they belonged, and it all began with a simple act. The moment when change was dropped, like trash and picked up with quiet dignity outer. The quiet but important conversation between the new owner and the manager. The restaurant started to feel a little different, but change, especially in a busy place filled with different people, does not happen overnight. Some things stay the same at first, while others begin to shift slowly, like the first light of morning spreading over the sky. The young server who had watched the manager's cold treatment of the customer had been thinking a lot about what she saw. She cared deeply about the restaurant and the people who worked there. She believed everyone deserved respect no matter what, and now, knowing that the man who had been treated so poorly was actually the new owner, made her heart race a little with hope. One day, after the lunch rush, she found a quiet moment to talk to another server, a colleague she trusted. "Did you see how the manager treated that man yesterday?" "It wasn't right," she said softly. Her colleague nodded. "Yeah, it was hard to watch. But I think things might change now. The owner is someone who cares. I heard he's already talking to the manager." They both knew that change would be hard for some people. The manager had been in charge for a long time, and old habits don't disappear quickly. Some staff members were nervous about what the new owner's presence might mean for them. Would they lose their jobs? Would the way things were done suddenly change? But others were hopeful. They could feel the possibility of a better workplace, a place where kindness was not just expected but practiced every day. Meanwhile, the manager herself was trying to make sense of everything. She had always believed she was doing her job well. She had managed the restaurant through busy days and slow days, trying to keep things running smoothly. But now, with the new owner watching and talking to her, she was starting to see things from a different perspective. She remembered how she had dropped the man's change the other day, how she had thought of him as someone who didn't belong. She felt a mix of shame and confusion. Why had she felt that way? Was it something she had learned somewhere along the way, or was it just fear of change? She started to pay more attention to the people around her. The servers, the cooks, and even the customers. She began noticing how small acts of kindness made a difference. A smile, a friendly word, or just listening carefully could change someone's day. One afternoon, during a slow moment, the manager sat down with the young server who had spoken up before. "I want to thank you for being honest," she said quietly. "You were brave to say something." The server smiled warmly. "I just want us all to do better." "We're a team," the manager nodded. "I'm trying. It's hard to change, but I want to learn." That simple conversation was a step forward. It opened a door that had been closed for a long time. The manager started asking questions and listening more. She wanted to understand how to create a better place for everyone. Meanwhile, the new owner continued to visit the restaurant regularly. Sometimes he worked quietly in the background, observing. Other times he spoke with staff, asking how they felt about their jobs and what changes they hoped to see. One day he called a small meeting in the staff room. The space was tight and a little noisy, but everyone gathered around. The mood was curious but cautious. The owner spoke kindly. "I want this restaurant to be a place where everyone feels respected and valued. That includes our customers and our team." He looked around at the faces, seeing a mix of hope, worry, and surprise. "Respect means more than just good manners," he continued. "It means treating people fairly, listening to each other and working together. We all make mistakes, but we can learn from them. He encouraged the staff to share their thoughts. Some spoke up, sharing stories of times when they felt proud of their work. Others quietly mentioned struggles like feeling overlooked or stressed. The owner listened carefully. He promised to create training sessions and team-building activities to help everyone grow together. After the meeting, the manager stayed behind to talk with him. "Thank you for including us," she said. "I want to be part of this change." The owner smiled. "I'm glad. We're stronger when we work as one." Over the next few weeks, small changes began to happen. The manager made an effort to greet every customer with a smile. She started checking in with staff during breaks, asking how they were doing. The young server noticed the difference and felt encouraged. One afternoon, as she helped a new customer, she overheard a conversation between the manager and the owner. They were talking about new ideas to improve the restaurant's culture, things like fair scheduling, better communication, and rewards for hard work. The young server felt a warm sense of pride. She realized she was part of something bigger, a place that was becoming more than just a restaurant. It was becoming a community, but change is never easy, and not everyone welcomed it right away. One day, a few staff members who were resistant to the new ideas whispered quietly in the kitchen. They missed the old ways and didn't trust that things would get better. The manager overheard them and felt torn. She wanted to support the new owner's vision, but she also understood their fears. She decided to talk to them openly. She called a small meeting and said, "I know change can be hard, but we have a chance to make this place better for all of us. Let's talk about your concerns." The staff shared their worries, fear of losing their jobs, doubts about the new policies, and discomfort with the unknown. The manager listened without judgment. Then she said, "I don't want to lose anyone. We're a team and we'll figure this out together." The conversation wasn't easy, but it was honest. It helped build trust and opened a path for cooperation. Meanwhile, the owner kept working behind the scenes, making plans for training sessions on respect and teamwork. He believed education was key to changing hearts and minds. He invited outside experts to lead workshops and encouraged everyone to participate. At first, some were hesitant, but as the sessions went on, many started to see things differently. They learned about empathy, how walking in someone else's shoes can change the way we treat them. They talked about bias and how it can affect decisions without us realizing it. They shared stories and listened to each other. The young server found these sessions helpful. She felt more confident speaking up and supporting her teammates. The manager also began to change, growing more aware of her words and actions. One day, the owner gathered the staff again. "Look at how far we've come," he said. "There's still work to do, but we're moving in the right direction." The staff applauded, feeling a mix of pride and hope. Outside the restaurant, regular customers started to notice the change too. They saw friendlier faces, heard genuine greetings, and felt a welcoming atmosphere. Word spread, and more people came to enjoy the food and kindness. The restaurant was no longer just a place to eat. It had become a place where respect, understanding, and community grew. The man who had been treated like trash was now the leader guiding this change. His quiet strength and vision inspired others to believe in something better. And inside the restaurant, the manager who had once been cold and distant was learning to open her heart and lead with kindness. Together, they were writing a new story, one that showed how even the smallest moments could lead to big changes when people chose respect over disrespect, understanding over judgment, and hope over fear. The morning sun peeked through the windows of the restaurant, casting a warm glow on the tables and chairs. It was a new day, but the air felt different, heavier somehow. The staff arrived one by one, greeting each other quietly, sensing that something important was about to happen. Rumors had already started to spread among the employees the night before. Everyone knew the man who had come into the restaurant a few days ago, the one who was treated with such disrespect at the counter. The whispers had grown louder when it was revealed that he was not just a customer but the new owner of the restaurant. Some of the staff were excited by this news, hopeful for change. Others were anxious, unsure about what this meant for their jobs and routines. The manager, who had been there for years, arrived looking nervous. She knew that today would be different. Shortly after opening, a representative from the company that owned the restaurant arrived. He walked in with a calm and confident air, holding a folder in his hands. He smiled warmly at the staff as they gathered in the back room. The room was small and plain, but the energy inside felt charged. The representative began speaking, his voice steady and clear. "Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming on such short notice. I'm here to introduce you to the new owner of this restaurant." The door opened and the man who had quietly observed the restaurant for days stepped in. The staff looked up, some with surprise, others with curiosity. The man smiled softly but didn't say anything at first. He scanned the room, meeting the eyes of each person. Then he spoke. "I'm glad to finally meet all of you," he said. "I've been watching and listening. I know this restaurant is more than just a place to eat. It's a place where people come to work, to connect, and to serve their community." His voice was calm but firm, carrying a sense of purpose. "I want to share with you why I'm here and what I hope we can achieve together." The staff leaned in, eager to hear more. The new owner told them about his journey, how he came to own the restaurant, what he believed in, and the vision he had for the future. He spoke about respect, fairness, and teamwork. He emphasized that every person, whether a customer or a staff member, deserved to be treated with kindness. Then he paused and said something that made the room quiet. "Yesterday I came into this restaurant as a customer. I paid for my meal with cash, and when the manager gave me my change, she dropped it on the counter like it was trash." Some of the staff looked away, feeling uncomfortable. The manager's face flushed with embarrassment. The owner continued, "I want to be honest with you all. That moment hurt, not because of the money, but because of what it represented. A lack of respect. A failure to see a person's value." He looked directly at the manager. "I don't say this to blame, but to make sure we all understand that respect must be the foundation of everything we do here." There was silence. The staff could feel the weight of his words. The owner then smiled gently. "But I believe in second chances. I believe we can learn and grow. And that starts with us right here as a team." He invited everyone to ask questions and share their thoughts. Some spoke up about the challenges they faced. Others shared ideas for improving the work environment. The manager listened carefully. She realized that the owner wasn't there to punish or shame her, but to help build a better future. She felt a mix of guilt and hope. After the meeting, the staff left the room slowly, many talking quietly among themselves. The energy had shifted. There was a sense of possibility, but also the understanding that real change would take effort. Later that day, the manager was called into a private meeting with the new owner and a representative from Human Resources. She felt nervous but knew this was important. The owner spoke first. "I want to talk about what happened with the change. It's clear that respect was missing." "That's a problem," the manager nodded. "I understand. I'm sorry. It was wrong." The owner continued gently but firmly. "I want you to know that we have a chance to do better, but that means taking responsibility and making real changes." The Human Resources representative added, "Because this incident affects the restaurant's culture, and we want to make sure everyone feels safe and respected. We have to take this seriously." The manager realized the seriousness of the situation. She agreed to attend training sessions and work closely with the owner and HR to improve how things were done. The new owner said, "I'm counting on you to help lead this change. It won't be easy, but it's necessary." The manager left the meeting feeling a mix of relief and determination. She knew she had a lot to learn, but also felt supported. Over the next few days, the owner held several meetings with different teams in the restaurant. He talked about respect, teamwork, and fairness. He listened carefully to everyone's concerns and ideas. The staff began to feel more involved and hopeful. They saw that the owner was serious about creating a better workplace. The young server who had spoken up earlier noticed the changes too. She saw the manager making an effort to greet customers warmly and check in with staff regularly. She heard the owner encouraging everyone to work together and support each other. Slowly, the restaurant began to feel like a different place, not just a business, but a community. One afternoon, a longtime customer came in and noticed the change immediately. "This place feels friendlier now," they said to the young server. "It's nice to see," the server smiled. "We're working on making it better for everyone." The manager also started to share her own story with the team. She talked about how she had been resistant to change but was learning to listen and grow. Her honesty helped others feel more comfortable speaking up. Together, the owner, the manager, and the staff began building a culture where respect wasn't just a word, but a daily practice. The story of the man who was treated like trash but became the new owner spread throughout the neighborhood. It inspired others to believe that change was possible, even in small places, and for the people who worked there. It was a reminder that respect and kindness could transform not just a restaurant, but lives. The days that followed felt different for everyone who worked at the restaurant. The atmosphere had begun to shift, though the change was still gentle and sometimes uncertain. The new owner had brought fresh energy and hope, but with that came challenges too. Real change takes time, and not every moment was easy. One morning the man arrived early. The restaurant was quiet, with just the soft hum of the refrigerator and the faint smell of fresh coffee brewing in the kitchen. He wanted to see how things were before the busy day began. Walking through the dining area, he noticed small details, the way the chairs were arranged, the cleanliness of the tables, the little things that showed care. He knew that running a restaurant wasn't just about serving food. It was about creating a space where people felt welcome and valued. This idea was at the heart of everything he wanted to build. He made his way to the back where the staff gathered for their morning briefing. The manager was already there, reviewing schedules and making notes. She looked up and gave a small smile when she saw him. "Good morning," she said softly. "Morning," he replied. "How are things today?" "Busy," she said with a little laugh. "But getting better." He nodded, understanding what she meant. They both knew that progress didn't happen all at once. It came in small steps, in moments of patience and understanding. During the meeting, the owner took a moment to speak to the team. "I want to thank everyone for your hard work," he said. "I know change can be hard, but it's important. We're building something special here, a place where respect and kindness are more than words." Some of the staff nodded while others listened quietly. There was still some hesitation in the air, but also hope. After the briefing, the young server who had spoken up earlier approached the owner. "I wanted to say thank you," she said. "For listening and for giving us a chance," he smiled warmly. "Thank you for your courage to speak up. That's how we grow." She looked around at her co-workers, some busy prepping tables, others cleaning up. "It's already feeling different here," he agreed. "And it will keep getting better." That day the restaurant was busier than usual. Regular customers returned and new faces appeared. The owner moved quietly among the tables, greeting people and checking in with the staff. In the kitchen, the cooks worked hard, chopping vegetables and stirring sauces. The sound of sizzling pans filled the air. The team had started to communicate more openly, sharing ideas and supporting each other. The manager was doing her best to stay positive. She remembered the moment when she had dropped the man's change, and the embarrassment she had felt since then. She wanted to make things right, not just for him, but for everyone. Throughout the day, the owner noticed small moments that showed the restaurant was changing. A server smiled warmly at a customer. The manager stopped by a table to check if everything was okay. The kitchen staff worked together with less tension. He also noticed challenges. There were still moments of stress, miscommunication, and doubt. But he knew that was normal. Change isn't a straight path. It has ups and downs. That evening, after the restaurant closed, the owner stayed behind to talk with the manager. They sat down in the quiet dining room, the soft glow of the lights creating a calm space. "I want to thank you," he said. "You're doing well." She smiled, a little shyly. "I'm trying. It's not easy to change habits," he nodded. "None of us are perfect. What matters is that we keep trying." They talked about ways to improve the workplace. The owner suggested more team-building activities and regular meetings to share ideas. The manager agreed and promised to be more open with her team. The next day, the owner brought in a guest speaker, a person who specialized in workplace culture and respect. The staff gathered in the restaurant's back room for a special training session. The speaker began by telling stories of how small acts of kindness could change lives. She talked about the importance of listening, understanding, and empathy. The room was quiet as people absorbed the message. During the session, staff members shared their own experiences. Some talked about times they felt ignored or disrespected at work. Others spoke about moments when a simple smile or kind word had made a difference. The owner watched as the staff listened and spoke. He felt hopeful. This was the kind of conversation that could build trust and understanding. After the training, the young server approached him again. "This was helpful," she said. "I think we're starting to see each other differently." He smiled. "That's the goal. Respect grows when we understand each other. Over the next few weeks, the restaurant's culture continued to improve. The manager became more involved with her team, checking in regularly and encouraging open communication. The staff felt more connected and supported. Customers noticed the difference too. The friendly greetings, the genuine smiles, and the smoother service made people want to come back. One day, the owner received a letter from a customer who had been coming to the restaurant for years. The letter said, "I've noticed a change here. The kindness, the respect, it makes this place special. Thank you for making a difference." The owner kept the letter on his desk as a reminder of why he was working so hard. But even as things improved, challenges remained. There were moments when old habits crept back. Stressful days sometimes brought tension, and not everyone was ready to fully embrace the new culture. The owner knew he couldn't do this alone. He needed the manager, the staff, and the community to be part of the journey. One afternoon, he gathered the team for another meeting. This time, he invited everyone to share what they had learned and what they still found difficult. People spoke honestly. Some admitted it was hard to change how they had worked for years. Others shared stories of moments when respect had made a difference. The owner listened carefully, thanking each person for their honesty. "We're all learning," he said, "and that's okay. What matters is that we keep moving forward together." The manager stood up and spoke too. "I'm grateful for the chance to grow. I'm sorry for the mistakes I made, and I want to keep improving." Her words were met with quiet applause. It was a small but powerful moment. That night, as the restaurant closed, the owner looked around. The place felt alive with possibility, hope, and the promise of change. He thought about the day he had been treated like trash. His change dropped on the counter without care. That moment had hurt, but it had also sparked something important. It had shown him the need for respect, kindness, and understanding in every part of life. And now, as the new owner, he was proud to be leading the way. The story was far from over, but the path ahead was clearer. With patience, heart, and courage, the restaurant and everyone in it was becoming something better. The restaurant was starting to feel like a second home for many of the staff. They came in every day, not just to work, but to be part of something that was growing, a community built on respect and care. The new owner's presence was felt everywhere, quietly encouraging everyone to be better, to do better. One bright morning, the owner arrived early again, as he often did. He liked to see how the day began, how the staff prepared for their customers. The aroma of fresh coffee mixed with the sound of chairs scraping against the floor. It was a busy place, but the noise felt less chaotic than before. It was the sound of a team working together. The manager was already there, organizing the schedule for the week. She looked more confident than before. The change in her was clear, not just in her actions, but in the way she carried herself. She no longer avoided eye contact or seemed tense. Instead, she smiled and greeted the early staff warmly. The owner walked up to her. "Good morning," he said. "Good morning," she replied. "Ready for another busy day?" He nodded. "I am. I wanted to talk about something I've been thinking about." She looked curious. "What is it?" "I think we should celebrate the small wins more," he said. "When someone does a good job, when we show respect or kindness, it matters. It builds the culture we want," the manager agreed. "That's a great idea. People need to feel appreciated." They decided to start a simple tradition. Every week they would have a small meeting to recognize someone who showed kindness or went above and beyond. It didn't need to be fancy, just a moment to say thank you and share a story. That afternoon, the owner gathered the staff for the first recognition meeting. The room was filled with curious faces. Some were skeptical, unsure if this was just another task. Others were excited, ready to be part of the change. The owner began. "Today I want to start something new. Each week we'll recognize one person who made a difference. It can be a small act or a big one. It's about noticing the good around us." He looked around the room. "I'll start. This week I want to recognize the young server who spoke up when she saw something wrong. Her courage helped us start this journey." The young server blushed but smiled. The room clapped softly. It was a small moment but powerful. The manager then shared a story. She spoke about one of the cooks who had stayed late to help clean up after a busy night. Even though it wasn't his job, she thanked him for his hard work and team spirit. The cook looked surprised but pleased. The room clapped again. These moments began to change the atmosphere. people started paying attention to each other in new ways. They noticed kindness, effort, and respect. It created a sense of belonging and pride. The owner continued to meet regularly with the staff, listening to their ideas and concerns. He made it clear that his door was always open. If anyone had a problem or suggestion, they could come to him. One day, a new employee joined the team. She was shy at first, nervous about fitting in. The manager made sure to introduce her to everyone and help her feel welcome. The young server took the new employee under her wing, showing her around and explaining how things worked. The owner watched this quietly, pleased to see the team supporting each other. The new employee soon began to shine. Her friendly nature and hard work earned her respect from customers and coworkers alike. Meanwhile, the owner continued to focus on improving the restaurant beyond just the culture. He wanted to make sure the food was excellent and the service was smooth. He believed that respect inside the team would show up in the quality of their work. He spent time talking with the kitchen staff, learning about their challenges and ideas. He asked questions about the recipes and ways to make the menu better. The cooks appreciated his interest. They felt seen and valued. It inspired them to take pride in their work and share new ideas. One cook suggested adding a few healthier options to the menu. Another talked about how to improve the flow in the kitchen to make work easier during busy hours. The owner listened carefully and promised to try some of these ideas. He wanted the restaurant to be a place where both customers and staff felt cared for. Outside, customers noticed the changes too. They commented on the friendliness of the staff and the quality of the food. Some came back again and again, bringing friends and family. The owner smiled when he heard these compliments. It was a sign that the work was paying off, but not every day was perfect. Sometimes old habits and tensions would resurface. There were moments of frustration, misunderstandings, and stress. One afternoon, during a very busy lunch rush, a mistake happened. A wrong order was brought to a customer, and the customer was upset. The staff were stressed, and the manager felt overwhelmed. The owner stepped in calmly. He helped smooth things over with the customer and encouraged the team to stay calm and work together. After the rush, he gathered the staff for a quick talk. "Mistakes happen," he said gently. "What matters is how we respond. We learn, we fix, and we keep going." The manager thanked him for his support. She realized that leading with patience and kindness was just as important as managing tasks. The young server who had been with the team since the beginning spoke up. "I think we're doing better because we're trying." "We care," the owner nodded. "That's right. Caring is the foundation." As the weeks went by, the restaurant grew stronger, not just as a business, but as a community. The owner continued to lead with humility and patience. The manager became more confident and compassionate. The staff felt valued and respected. Together, they were building something lasting. One evening after closing, the owner stayed behind to clean up. The restaurant was quiet and the lights were dimmed. He thought about how far they had come, from a moment of disrespect to a place of respect and hope. He knew the journey wasn't over. There would be more challenges ahead, but he felt ready, surrounded by a team that believed in the same vision. He looked around the room, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. This restaurant was more than a business. It was a place where people could grow, belong, and make a difference. And it all started with a moment when someone's change was dropped like trash, and someone else decided that wasn't acceptable. That moment became the beginning of a story about respect, kindness, and second chances. And this story was just getting started. The restaurant had become a place where many people felt comfortable and welcomed. But as the weeks passed, the owner knew that real change needed to go deeper. It wasn't just about fixing what was wrong on the surface. It was about building trust and understanding at every level. That would take patience, care, and honest conversations. One cool morning, the owner arrived early to find the staff gathered in the small break room. The manager was there, chatting quietly with a few team members. The owner smiled, appreciating the sense of community growing among the team. He cleared his throat gently to get everyone's attention. "I want to thank all of you for your hard work and dedication," he began. "We've made good progress, but there's still more to do." The room grew quiet. People listened carefully. "I've been thinking," he continued, "that to really move forward, we need to understand each other better, not just as coworkers, but as people." The manager nodded. That's true. When we know someone's story, it's easier to work together. The owner suggested they start something new, a time to share their stories, their experiences, and what respect means to each of them. It wouldn't be forced or awkward, but simple and open. Just a chance to listen and learn from one another. At first, some people seemed hesitant. Sharing personal stories can feel scary, especially at work. But the owner reassured them, this is a safe space. No judgment, just kindness, the manager agreed. We want to build trust, and that starts with honesty. They set a time for the first gathering, after the restaurant closed one evening. The owner promised snacks and a relaxed atmosphere to help everyone feel comfortable. When the evening arrived, the small group gathered in the back room. The lights were soft and the mood was calm. The owner started by sharing his own story. He talked about the day he had walked into the restaurant as a customer, how he was treated, and how it made him feel. He didn't blame anyone, but said it opened his eyes to the need for change. He spoke about the journey that followed, the challenges, the lessons, and the hope for a better future. After he finished, the room was quiet for a moment. Then one by one, people began to share. The young server spoke about the first time she felt ignored by a manager at a different job. She said it made her feel invisible and unimportant. But here, she said, she was starting to feel valued. Another staff member talked about the struggles of balancing work with family life. He said that feeling respected at work helped him carry strength into his home life. The cooks shared stories too, about the pressure of the kitchen, the joy of creating food, and how being part of a respectful team made the hard work easier. The manager opened up about her own fears and mistakes. She admitted she had been defensive when the owner first arrived, but was learning to listen and grow. As each person spoke, the room filled with understanding and empathy. People nodded, smiled, and sometimes wiped away a quiet tear. The owner looked around and felt hopeful. This was the kind of connection that could change everything. After the sharing, they talked about how respect could show up in daily work. Simple things like listening when someone speaks, offering help without being asked, and saying thank you. The owner suggested creating a respect wall in the break room, a place where people could leave notes about kind actions they noticed from others. It would be a reminder that respect was something everyone could give and receive every day. The staff loved the idea. Soon, colorful notes appeared on the wall, sharing small stories of kindness, teamwork, and encouragement. Days turned into weeks, and the respect wall grew. It became a source of motivation and pride. People looked forward to reading the notes and adding their own. The culture of respect was no longer just a goal. It was becoming a reality. One afternoon, a customer approached the owner. She said, "I've been coming here for years and I've never seen the place like this. It feels warm, welcoming, and real." The owner smiled. "That's exactly what we're working for." The customer added, "It shows in how the staff treat each other, and us." The owner thanked her. It was a reminder that the changes inside the restaurant could be felt outside too. But the journey wasn't without bumps. One busy weekend, a disagreement broke out between two team members. The tension was high, and for a moment the teamwork felt broken. The manager stepped in quickly, reminding everyone of the respect they had all committed to. She encouraged the team to talk it out calmly and listen to each other. The owner followed up with a private conversation with both employees. He listened to their concerns and helped them find common ground. This experience became a teaching moment for the whole team. It showed that respect didn't mean ignoring problems, but facing them honestly and kindly. The team grew stronger because of it. Throughout it all, the owner stayed humble and patient. He knew change was a process, not a quick fix. Sometimes it was messy and difficult, but every step forward was worth it. He continued to walk through the restaurant every day, greeting customers and staff alike. His presence was steady and reassuring. The manager also grew into her role. She became a true leader, not just by giving orders, but by inspiring others and setting an example. The staff felt proud to work there. They saw the restaurant as more than a job. It was a place where respect and kindness lived. One evening, the owner received a letter from a community member. The letter said how the restaurant's new spirit had inspired others in the neighborhood to treat each other better. It was a powerful reminder that respect starts small, but can grow far. As the days passed, the restaurant continued to be a place of warmth and welcome. The story that began with a dropped handful of change had turned into a journey of respect, second chances, and hope. The owner looked around one night as the staff cleaned up. He felt grateful for every moment, the good and the challenging. They had come far together, and he knew that with respect as their guide, the best was still ahead. The restaurant had changed so much since the day the owner first walked in, feeling ignored and disrespected. What once was just a place to eat had turned into a community where respect, kindness, and understanding were the foundation. But the owner knew that the real work didn't stop here. Change was a continuous journey, one that required care, attention, and patience every single day. One quiet morning, the owner arrived early again. The restaurant was calm, with sunlight spilling through the windows and casting warm light on the tables. He enjoyed these quiet moments before the rush, when he could walk around and take in the small details that made the restaurant special. The staff had already started to arrive, preparing for the day ahead. The manager greeted him with a smile that felt genuine and steady. She seemed different from the nervous person she had been months ago, more confident and calm. "Good morning," she said warmly. "Good morning," he replied. "How are you feeling today?" "Ready," she said. "And the team is too. We're all in this together now." He nodded, happy to hear it. That's exactly how it should be. Throughout the day, the restaurant hummed with activity. Customers came and went, many of them regulars who had noticed the positive changes. The staff moved with purpose and care, greeting guests with smiles and making sure everyone felt welcome. In the kitchen, the cooks worked in harmony, sharing laughs and helping each other out during the busy moments. The owner watched quietly, feeling proud of how far they had come. But the best part wasn't just the smooth service or the tasty food. It was the way people treated each other, the kindness in their voices, the respect in their actions. Later that afternoon, the owner gathered the team for a meeting. This wasn't a usual staff meeting about schedules or sales. Instead, it was a moment to reflect on the journey they had shared. He began by saying, "When I first walked into this restaurant, I never imagined I would be standing here today, leading a team that cares so much about each other. You've all worked hard and I'm grateful." The room was quiet, filled with faces that showed pride and a bit of surprise. Some looked down shyly, others smiled openly. He continued, "This journey started because of a moment that hurt. But from that hurt, something beautiful grew. We learned that respect isn't just about politeness, it's about seeing each other as people, with stories, struggles, and hopes." The manager stepped forward and added, "I want to say thank you to everyone, for being patient with me as I learned to lead with kindness, for supporting each other when things got tough. We're stronger now because of this." The team applauded softly, their hearts full. After the meeting, the owner talked privately with the manager. "You've done an amazing job," he said. "Leading isn't always easy, but you've shown real courage." She smiled, a little shy but proud. "Thank you. I'm still learning, but I want to keep growing, for the team and for this restaurant." They spoke about the future, about new ideas to make the restaurant even better. They talked about ways to give back to the community and how to continue building a positive workplace. Outside the restaurant, word was spreading. Customers told friends about the warm atmosphere and friendly staff. The restaurant had become more than a place to eat. It was a place where people felt cared for. One day, a local school teacher stopped by. She shared how she brought her students to the restaurant for a special lunch, teaching them about respect and kindness. She said, "This place shows what respect looks like in real life." The owner felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The change they had worked for was reaching beyond the walls of the restaurant. As weeks turned to months, the restaurant continued to grow. The respect wall in the break room was filled with notes of encouragement and thanks. The weekly recognition meetings became a beloved tradition. The staff supported one another through challenges and celebrated successes together. But even with all the good, the owner knew there would always be moments of difficulty. Respect wasn't something that could be taken for granted. It had to be practiced every day. One evening after a long day, the owner sat alone in the quiet restaurant. He thought back to the first time he walked in, feeling small and unnoticed. He smiled softly, grateful for the journey and hopeful for the future. He understood now that respect was more than just a word. It was a way of living, a choice to see the best in others and treat them with kindness. The restaurant wasn't perfect, but it was real. It was a place where people had second chances, where mistakes became lessons, and where hope was alive. As he turned off the lights and closed the door behind him, he felt a deep peace. The story that started with a moment of disrespect had become a story of respect, growth, and community, and that story would continue, day after day, person after person, act after act, because respect, once it takes root, has the power to change everything.